Good afternoon to everyone. I'm really happy to be here today and facilitate the discussion about the new education for new economy. As you might know, that the post-pandemic reality and new normal dictates its own requirements on how to reinvent and innovate education system, not only in Central Asia or CIS countries, but worldwide. We also need somehow to rethink who should teach IT skills and digital skills and how to complement digital skills with soft skills. What are the priorities? What are the challenges, advantages and disadvantages of digital learning? How to make the learning process sustainable and really engaging for everyone considering the circumstances. So that's why the focus of today's discussion will be to better understand how we could address all these challenges, how we can adapt, because even in our daily life and professional life, we need to be more agile, we need to be more flexible in order to succeed. My name is Victoria Petrova, and I'm the head of exploration at UNDP Accelerator Lab, and I'm honored to facilitate today's discussion. Our amazing speakers today are Professor Dr. Sahil Naqvi, Rector of the University of Central Asia. We also have some speakers online. I'm not sure whether Farhod is here or not. I think that not. Then Oleg Yakimchuk, Head of Government Affairs and Public Policy, Google, Ukraine, Georgia, and Kyrgyz Republic. Lilit Yesikan, welcome Lilit. Lilit is a research director at the Caucasus Research and Resource Center at Armenia Foundation. We also have here Nurjamal Irisbekova, who is project manager at Tekaim Public Foundation. She is also leading the Han Academy Kyrgyz project. And Vadim Zelenkov, Training and Development Director at EPAM Systems. So welcome everyone. I hope that we will have an engaging and interesting discussion today, and we will have some insights on how to develop and reinvent education system. So as we have six... Farhod is here, so great, Farhod. Yes, nice to meet you also. Yes. Farhod Baboev is the Deputy Director of the Enterprise Smart City under Executive State Authority of Dushanbe City. So welcome, Farhod. And as we have 6 speakers today, if I'm not mistaken, then let's proceed as follows. So every one of you will have an opportunity to introduce yourself and deliver your speech or make a presentation. Then we will have a follow-up question, and if we have some time at the end, then we will have the questions from the audience. Let's start with our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Naqvi. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and real pleasure and an honor to speak on at least what I consider a somewhat biased view, you may say, but it is the most important topic that we can possibly have, because nothing is going to work without the person. And if anything, the new environment is teaching us that the person has become more important. All through this conference, we have learned that it is talent that companies are after. And now, if the talent will not come to the company, which was the old model, the companies are coming to talent. And that is why we hear of companies opening up offices in the Kyrgyz Republic, which is fantastic news, because the talent is here and they have to come and meet the talent. Now, in this century, we have certain disruptions that have taken place that have changed the environment of education. First of all, you must have all heard that it takes a village to raise a child. So what we are talking about is that education is not an endeavor of one set of parents, one school, one set of school teachers, and institution alone. It is the entire community that collects and raises that child. And in the modern world, that village has changed. The family structure has changed, how we interact with our neighbors has changed, the community has changed. And so there is a very fundamental difference to how we used to do things and to how we are doing things now. And that has a direct impact on much of the things that we are talking about. All these soft skills, all these relationship skills, these emotional understanding, working as a group. If you are a child raised on an iPad and just very happy playing your computer games, it's a very different environment. And so having those set of skills will require a different kind of a learning system that we have to go through. Second, the nature of knowledge and how it is being created and recreated has changed. The rate of innovation and knowledge development is much, much faster. This morning, I was hearing from one of the colleagues that 80% of the information that we are dealing with at this time is just a few years old. It's 2 years old. Okay. So this fast rate of innovation, change, etc., has disrupted our learning systems. The other thing is this experience gained through repetitive work and professional practice is of much less value at this time. In fact, they say that the wrong kind of experience is going to disrupt the work of enterprises, and so you are better off, in fact, taking the more experienced people out of the equation and better off with the younger people. So the kind of experience that we valued and we talked about is an issue. Third, our competence is something about which we have less consciousness or literacy. We increasingly don't know what we don't know, and not knowing how to learn and unlearn makes matters even worse. So we are now not only requiring people to learn, but we want them to be able to unlearn and then relearn. And so the definition of being literate in the world today has been changed. Now, if things were not enough, we have a world of contradictions that we are working with. There is a contradiction between the soft skills and hard skills. These are apparent contradictions. They may or may not be if we explore these issues. There's a contradiction between learning and unlearning. There is a contradiction between having focused knowledge, so we want a particular type, C# or Python or this kind of thing, and an understanding and an appreciation of Russian literature or music or subjects of that nature. We have education, which is this broad-based, ability, something that, it's not quite easy to define it, but one definition that I really like is that the education is the lighting of a fire. And the education is actually to make known what has been hidden before. So it is inside you and you make those things apparent. And training, which is looking at doing a process repetitively. We are valuing training, but then we are also valuing the ability to do one thing and then switch to another. Now, if you know how to do one thing very well and you don't have the basis, you will not be able to switch. So there is going to be this contradiction. We have now face-to-face interaction and we have distance interaction. We have group work, so we value people working together, but we also value individuality and entrepreneurship. And that entrepreneurship is a contradiction. It means going against the grain of things. It means going against groupthink. We had a teacher-centered paradigm of education, and that has its values. And now we have the student-focused paradigm. We used to work with degrees. Now we are talking about micro-credentials. And the real problem is that we want all of the above. We are not wanting to choose, and we want it in less time than we had before, and are not wanting to make these compromises. So these are the challenges that we are facing. People talk about 21st century's skills as the 4 C's. There's one definition I've seen: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity. But critical thinking has always been a part of education. I mean, why would you study logic and philosophy if you were not going to be focusing on critical thinking? It is classical education, critical thinking. Communication is absolutely key. Written, verbal, whichever way you may be talking about. Life skills, we already talked about your flexibility, your emotional maturity, etc. And then literacy skills, which I would just summarize as learn, unlearn, relearn. I think I will stop here and not present any real solutions, because there is no one size that's going to fit all, but these are some of the challenges that we are facing. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you. Very interesting. And you raised already a lot of challenges. And as you said, there is no like silver bullet that can solve all of them. But nevertheless, could you please like elaborate maybe how do you see the development of educational system, considering the digital divide that we have in Kyrgyzstan, and that from the very beginning we have a gap in infrastructure, in digital literacy, but at the same time, all those skills that you mentioned, they are so important to succeed.
This definition that we have of distance learning, I think it requires elaboration and much, much more work. Distance learning is much more than simply the placement of a camera and in a room. We talk about these students not having access to the internet, but I think we need to challenge ourselves and ask, what is this child that I am working with, and how does that child learn? And that is the difference between looking at, hey, I have knowledge and this is the way I know how to give it, as opposed to asking the question from the other side. Here is the child. This child is actually a digital native. Those 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, they know a lot more about making things work than we are going to do. At least I talk about myself. I am of the generation that saw the internet being invented. These are the people who were born into it. We have not created the learning system for them. It is, you think about the early days of the smartphone, and then when the iPhone came along, and how absolutely and utterly intuitive it was to navigate, to go from one place to another. Have we created the educational environment that would truly leverage technology? And Khan Academy is certainly working on that. That would make the learning just so ubiquitous that the child would be able to chart their own path, jump across, go sideways, go left, move as like the human mind moves, and be able to learn in leaps and bounds. I believe there are a lot many frontiers to cross, and there are some great early sort of leaders like the Khan Academy in that regard.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for such detailed and fascinating response. So I think that we can move to the next speaker, who is Farhod Baboyev. Farhod, please, the floor is yours.
Well, dear, I just want to introduce myself. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Let me introduce myself. I'm Bobo Farhod, Deputy Director of Smart City under Executive State Authority of Dushanbe City. And firstly, I just want to apologize on behalf of Mr. Samadou Sadi, because he couldn't make it today. He's supposed to be here today in this meeting, but unfortunately, due to the bad weather, so he couldn't came to Dushanbe because he was in the business trip. And Professor Dr. Sohail actually mentioned all the aspects. So I don't know what to say after when he speaks about the educational. So the nation thriving with the flourishing of education or education institution at all levels are national treasure. So I just want to start my topic, but which is it's regarding reforming education in Tajikistan and how we were in the past and where we are right now, and then what will be in the future. In the past few years, Tajikistan paid such close attention to the restoration of infrastructure and the long-term development of education system. Expanding the values of education and sustainable development has become a paramount challenge. Reforming education system is part of the national policy of the Republic of Tajikistan. And one of the most important priorities, this becomes especially relevant in the era of globalization and new technologies. When education is seen as one of the most effective forms of investing in the country's future. Education in the modern world is becoming the most important resource for the economic and social development of countries, increasing the well-being and individual development of citizens. The President of the Republic of Tajikistan paying special attention to the development of education system and the implementation of education reform program. In his message to the Parliament of the Republic of Tajikistan, note that attention to improving the level of education in society and introducing new techniques and modern technology. The authority of Tajikistan are planning to completely update the education system in accordance with the best world practice. The new education will meet the needs of digital economy with the emphasis, first of all, on skill in analysis of information and development of creativity in thinking, says the concept of digital economy in the Republic of Tajikistan adopted by the government. Digital literacy at all levels, primary, secondary, and be increased in order to develop creativity in critical thinking in the younger generation. With the support of country's President, His Excellency Emre Ramon, and the government of the Republic of Tajikistan, today all secondary schools in Tajikistan equipped with the modern computers technology. Compared in 2000, in the year of 2000, if we go to Tajikistan, there were only 400 computers in overall Tajikistan, but now it's all equipped with the computers. In accordance with the fact that as a priority in the social policy of the state, the present various projects are being successfully implemented aimed at automated public service in the field of education. And one of them is the Advantage program, an electronic program in the field of education with the program parents can keep up with the grades, passes, homework, letters from teachers, and annual copy of their children's classroom, student performance statistics, and close interaction with the parents with the school and education department of the city. This program will allow parents to find out how well their children are learning in the school. The state policy in the field of education is based on the use of information technology in the educational institutions, improving the level and quality of education in accordance with the international standard, creating a unified digital database of electronic education materials, developing a modern materials and technical base of educational institutions by regularly re-equipping them with modern technology equipment. To implement this policy, many important documents have been adopted. In order to ensure implementation of decree of the government of Republic of Tajikistan, which was dated September 29, 2017, number 3443, and state program for the introduction of ICT technology in educational institutions of the Republic of Tajikistan for the years of 2018 and 2022, and also decree of the chairman of the Dushanbe City dated August 6, 2020, number 409, on the introduction of electronic program Yedonish in the secondary and primary high school in Dushanbe using the ICT technology. In the implementation of this program, a certain amount of work has been done. The implementation of this program has been fully implemented as a pilot project last year in Dushanbe for 5 high school. Since the launch of the program, more than 7,000 parents, over 7,500 students, and more than 500 teachers have been registered as a user for using this program.
Farhod, I'm really sorry, but we have very limited time. If you could somehow conclude, yeah.
I'm almost done. So this year, according to the instruction of the mayor of Dushanbe, His Excellency Rustam Emomali, which was financed from the budget of the city to implement that program Yedonish in another 50 schools, and it was done successfully. In the future, it's planned for another hundreds of the schools and more, not only but in Dushanbe but all over Tajikistan. So that's all from my side. I mean, if you have any questions, so I'm here to answer. And
yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you for your presentation. I think that if you have any questions for you, we will proceed with them, the Q&A session, if you don't mind. And now I think that it's time to move to the next speaker, Oleg Yakimchuk. As I mentioned, he is the head of government affairs and public policy from Google Ukraine, Georgia, and the Kyrgyz Republic. So we are happy to see you. Oleg, please.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm glad to be present at the strategist event today to discuss the digital knowledge impact and opportunities. At Google Ukraine, we started a digital transformation campaign in 2015, and in a year we scaled this direction in Georgia. During the first 4 years of the campaign in Ukraine, digital transformation has made it possible for 14 regions to develop their potential and to stimulate driving positive changes in a number of state areas, including culture, education, ecology, and economy. In 2019, we were observing the formation of the Ministry of Digital Transformation, and today we are happy to consider it as our strategic partner, and we realize that it shares common values and we can fruitfully work together. When we conducted the campaign, we noticed that digital knowledge is the foundation of digital transformation. For example, it's possible to fully experience the capabilities of modern smartphone if you don't study any of its functions and structures or manuals. And eventually we found more and more evidence for this observation in cultural things, tourism, ecological, and business areas in recent years. We became sure that education is the broadest space for future digital changes. Digital literacy, media, eco-literacy, cultural literacy are very bright components of effective digital economy development. Basically, technology is the language for government, society, and business to understand each other better. Just to give you more taste of how we introduce digital changes, I want to give you an example of digital knowledge introduction in a very specific area that is familiar to all of us, which is tourism. The travel industry has been one of the hardest hit sectors of the COVID-19 restrictions, both in Ukraine and around the world. So first of all, we supported travel organizations and entrepreneurs with training and educational courses to develop their digital skills and bridge the gap that they had in this regard. The course results showed that about 91% rate of participants' confidence in the usefulness and practical applicability of the acquired skills amidst a pandemic, which was very straightforward signal for us that we are on the right track. Alongside, for additional synergy, we made a number of digitizations, in particular the national parks, castles, and the key cultural heritage. It was all working together because all the places and SMBs that participated and were digitized now had more instruments to make their presence online more effective, mainly through the better self-promotion, more effective communication with target audience, and knowledge how to be integrated to global markets. Moreover, in times of pandemic, the government used our digitized materials and offered Ukrainians to virtually visit them during the period of logistic restrictions. Further, it helped such places to have more internal tourism, visiting them when quarantine restrictions started to soften from region to region. So this is just a quick look on how to apply digital transformation to achieve positive changes in the fields of education, culture, and tourism for mutually beneficial results for society as a whole. And of course, there is much more to it. I don't want to take too much time, so I'll just give you a sense of our research with Alpha Beta that we conducted this year called Digital Sprinters. And it's global research. You can find it on the internet if you're interested. And it shows that the digital economy has a tremendous capacity for many countries around the globe. And such countries can benefit really greatly through an integrated approach to education, economy, security, entrepreneurship, and balanced regulatory approaches. It gives a framework on how to step by step evolve to digital economy establishment, and digital knowledge is one of the milestones for sure. Just to sum up, I want to point out that technology is already a part of the new normal, and for sure it will stay with us for a long time in the future. We need to do better, understand, and to have better understanding it in times of uncertainty and in times of economic prosperity, basically all times. And the complex digital knowledge approach is one of the keys to how to use it to the fullest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oleg. A lot of interesting points you mentioned, and the integration of the digital literacy as the key prerequisites for successful development of a new economy. And plus, I think the point that we need to make the educational system and the spread of the knowledge is also inclusive in terms of diverse dimensions. Thank you once again. And now I would like to invite Lily to make her presentation, please.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be in this forum. It's very, very important topics we are talking about. And I'm representing the research community in Armenia. We are mostly doing the social economic research and everything that goes with policy recommendations, and we're trying to help government to make better decisions. And these topics that we are now discussing is something that need to be institutionalized. So we know we are listening to, I'm listening to all the talks today, and I hear talent, growing talents, keeping talents. So, and it's not about money. Nobody is talking about money. It's only about people. And Professor Naqvi was very right, telling about all the challenges that we have, which are not even ones that we can put in one model, maybe. And I was sitting and thinking, and I was thinking about this again and again, like last 3 years almost, like what we are going to do in institutional way. Okay, and I would like to raise this question and open the discussion on this particular issue, because at the end we need to recommend to government, to Minister of Education, okay, which model to choose. I should bring here an maybe example where I can see, or the people who are thinking about this topic can see maybe a probable model that we can find out and bring out from it. In Armenia, we have some very successful stories in non-formal education, which are free of charge for teens and for school children. And I would like to mention only 3 of them, which are very good ones. One is called ARMAT, which is engineering classes in schools, and they are almost more than 3,000 in Armenia for this moment, and teens from 10 plus 18, they can study their engineering for free and start the startups. And another very successful thing is Tumo Creative Technology Center, where they are trying to put together the soft skills and hard skills. So, for example, they have 14 objects that they are courses that they have there for teens, and it includes also the 3D modeling, engineering, writing, I don't know, music, whatever. So it is 14 different things that teens are learning after the school. And this is so good model that we have already exported it to some countries. We have in Paris, in India. So it's again non-formal education, which can be a solution for a new model of education, new model. Another very important example is so-called Co-op Smart, which is working in regions and trying to specify a model for regions. So they have again this starting from engineering till the writing and dancing and music. And the Co-op Smart is very important in terms that it starts from kindergarten and goes till the end. But again, this is non-formal education. So I don't know, maybe this is the way where we can find the model, and then we can suggest to Ministry of Education to go further and put it into the huge mechanism. Because, okay, we can see that IT companies are coming to countries, they putting their labs in universities, and they are putting much money there, though it is not very much for them if you compare the salaries that they pay. But at the end, when there is an educational mechanism and institutions there, why some company needs to pay more? You know, it's better to have it from the kindergarten and going up. And there we again have collaboration with big IT companies which are working in Armenia. One of the big companies like Synopsys, IPAM is also working in Armenia, and Synopsys has very good model of labs with universities, almost 6 universities, they have labs there, and from 2014 they are getting their workforce from that universities. So these are some of the examples from Armenian side that I can bring up here, and I would like to also hear your opinions on how to, where to find the model and how to implement it. I can see a very important part there for this moment, and we are going to research this by our work, and at the end maybe recommend something new to government. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Lolita. I think that it's really critical to understand how to integrate this informal part, because it is much more flexible and agile than the formal education. But at the same time, I have a question like, how about integration of soft skills? Because we know that, for instance, we are moving from STEM to STEAM, yeah? So art is already a part of the development of these new skills. And at the same time, I see that there is a certain like extreme that everyone wants to become IT, tech person, and so on. So in your vision, where is the balance, and what are the key soft skills that should be integrated into the formal education together with hard skills? Thanks.
Thank you for a very important question. And yes, I was thinking much about this recently. And okay, which courses take for children? Okay, it's not the those courses that we usually have in the school. And what makes us different from the robots? So whatever makes us different from the robots is something that makes us humans. So in this case, again, maybe it is very banal, and I'm repeating everybody else, but empathy is something that is differs us from the robots. Our emotions, emotional intelligence. I was thinking that one of the very important things that we need to our children need to learn now, it's emotional intelligence, and then they need to do it even in school, not afterwards. And besides this, whenever I'm talking to different people from IT sector, they are mentioning language, the English language there, and nothing else, you know. It seems that everything else one can learn. Also, sometimes some people are mentioning the math and physics, so some natural sciences. I don't know really about the math and physics, but I agree with Professor Naqvi that we need to be flexible, to learn and to relearn. In this case, we need to focus on those courses, on those subjects that will help us to give us this base, to be flexible, and then, yeah, the subjects can be different maybe, but the emotional intelligence should be there.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful answer. And we have two more speakers. The next one is Nur Jamal. Um, yeah, and you will tell us about the education during the pandemic and also about the inclusive and equitable education. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you for everyone joining us. It's very honored to stay here and to exchange ideas, actually, how we can raise next generation of self-learners, people with strong communication, with creativity, leadership, so that we will prepare them for the new economy. And yeah, before me, I mean, there was a lot of brilliant ideas and about projects that we are working in Kyrgyzstan is this about Han Academy Kyrgyz project. I work here as a project manager. Our goal is to solve very serious problem that we are facing in Kyrgyzstan, which is preparing young generation of next our school children, school kids to prepare for a new economy, which is knowledge-based economy. It should be noted that Kyrgyzstan is landlocked country. We don't have mining, we don't have gas, but how we can like make people prepare for next economies using brain power, which is like knowledge based. And this is we are facing now challenge because according to UNICEF, 64% of 10 years old children, school kids, do not understand what they hear and what they read. This means it's because of children do not have basic knowledge for their age. So they don't go, maybe it's because of they don't go to the kindergarten, or their parents cannot allow to go to kindergarten, maybe financial. But yeah, and another point that I want to tell is like in 2006 and 2009, Kyrgyzstan participated to PISA assessment, which is international student assessment from math, and Kyrgyzstan got the worst among other country participants at the bottom. So our goal is to change the situation for better. The reason for maybe you guys may, I mean, you might be thinking why it's happening in Kyrgyzstan, despite many projects from government side, from NGOs being implemented. The reason is like textbook, I mean like 70% of, in Kyrgyzstan, 70% of schools teaching Kyrgyz language. However, from the independence, there was no any educational alternative platform where students can learn, as professors told, informal, where they can train their skills, they can train their creativity, their leadership, and learn more about life skills. So, and despite, because of this facts, including also teaching methodologies that teachers use, and apart from that, like textbooks, which is outdated textbooks, there were the factors, and apart from that, a lot of factors. But we are very optimistic. We believe that next time when we will participate to PISA, which will be after 3 years, 2024, we will not get the bottom among other country participants, because our approach is like to use technology, to make technology as a part of learning, and because technology now reaches almost everyone in the country, so which is internet. With the help of the internet, we are now we are like recreating these classes, which was done in the Khan Academy in California. So we make recreate them, translate, localize them, and at the same time put them to YouTube Khan Academy Kyrgyz channel for free. So every person, every student, despite like teachers, they can just watch them, learn them, because during pandemic, so educational crisis in Kyrgyzstan was obvious. However, due to COVID, COVID made this educational crisis more obvious and more noticeable, because teachers couldn't use. It was the first time they hear about Zoom. They couldn't use like how to do presentations and to send for their teachers. So this was very challenging for Kyrgyzstan, especially for teachers. And therefore, like and I want to tell like, so we made during 1 year 350 lessons from math and from STEAM subjects, and we got 2,500 subscribers who really like it and who is giving us feedback and telling that they're really using this informal lessons and sending this informal lessons for their students. For example, maybe someone got sick and they didn't come to school, so they have opportunity. And Khan Academy is low-cost tech, which means like everyone who has mobile, who has technology, can actually use this. And I want to also tell here, we also work with teachers, because it's very important in our century, in a very changing century, to give understanding to teachers, like there is many ways of learning. It doesn't mean like only teachers can teach something. It might be maybe from YouTube they can learn, because as professors told, like even 2 years old kids know a lot about technologies than us. So we are trying to give more online and offline trainings for them about why master learning is important, how they can use Khan Academy platform, how this Khan Academy, which is technology, can ease their lives of Kyrgyzstans, I mean teachers and students, and as well as parents also, because parents can enroll also and see the result, how their kids are doing. And at the same time, we're trying to give this philosophy that flip chart methodology, which means like in flip chart methodology, teachers, their role from lecturer will be changed to the coach. So students will watch this video lessons, and they will practice on a web page, and they will come to class not to get new information, but to deepen their knowledge. So we got this so in Khan Academy, they translated officials to 50 countries, and just 1 month ago we was a 51st country who translated officially, and web page also working. So this means Kyrgyzstan have now much more opportunity to learn, and technology is a part of learning.
Thanks a lot, Nur Jamal. Great insights. Unfortunately, due to the lack of time, I think that we have to move to the next speaker, but if there is a probability, maybe we'll ask some questions more after.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the next speaker is Vadim Zelenkov from EPAM Systems, who will share his experience and best practices in engaging students into the learning process for new skills in technologies.
Hello, everyone. It is honor for me to be here, and probably I'm not the best person to reason about future of the education, but being representative of fast-growing global technology and consulting company, I would like to highlight the challenges we are facing with. And the first one, I would say, is talent shortage. Yes, we are hungry for talents, and I would say that workforce in countries of our presence is insufficient and is not enough qualified to meet demands of international market. And within upcoming few years, we expect to have twice as much career opportunities than we are having right now. And now we are having thousands of open positions. And for us, the only possible way to address this challenge is to invest into building an extension of our educational network and ecosystem. And I'd like to give you just a few examples. For example, we've launched an independent community platform for engineers. It's Community Z platform, which helps engineers all over the world to stay connected, to exchange with their experience. And actually, a lot of community schools are hosted on this platform, like Rolling Scopes, Design Sport Community, and many others. And those schools are providing free educational opportunities for thousands of learners across the globe. Also, we switched our approach to digitally enabled learner-centric model, which means that not skills, but learner is the most important focus of our educational initiatives. And we developed an interesting solutions for that. For example, we built Level Up application. It is AI-based career advisory system, helping our students and employers to build their personal development plans based on multi-factor analysis like primary skills, seniority level, job function, global demand, interests. So our students can have a personalized advice within the system. So we also develop academic programs in partnership with local universities. Another challenge, I would say, is uncertainty, global uncertainty, which means that evolving business needs of our clients and technology advances and new ways of work are redefining what is considered to be valuable skills for the future. And for us, the only way to address this challenge is to develop soft skills such as leadership, problem solving, communication, and of course, ability to learn along the life. So it's in short. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vadim. Thank you for the presentation. Unfortunately, we are already running out of time, and I don't know, I personally have a lot of questions which I would like to ask to our speakers. For instance, how to better engage diverse people into the learning process. When we talk about digital age, like what are the relationships between the digital skills, economic growth, and social cohesion in such defragmented countries like Kyrgyzstan, for instance? And what are the auxiliary results of the development of the digital economy in general? And because, as it was mentioned at these sessions and many others, like there are a lot to do in order to make the educational ecosystem more inclusive and equitable for everyone. But summarizing everything, I would say that yes, we talk about technology, we talk about data, digitalization, but ultimately the center is the people that we work with. And as it was mentioned by Vadim, that it's not about the skills itself, but about the learner. And yes, we always try somehow to centralize the systems, the educational systems also, but maybe we need to reinvent approach and think about more flexible and, as a result, more sustainable educational system where everyone can really benefit from the different opportunities. So I think that here, unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but nevertheless, thanks everyone. And if you have any questions, I think that we can ask them after this like very formal session. Thank you.